Ava was highly regarded at the club, mostly because Faye was her friend, and Faye understood the struggles. Faye had once dropped out of school due to financial troubles, but she got lucky after meeting and marrying an American man. Meanwhile, Ava ended up selling fish by day and dancing by night. Dancing is an art, some people said, but in a place like this, lights flashing on and off, Ava often wondered if what she did could still be called art. She stepped onto the stage, wearing just a sliver of fabric covering her most private areas. At the center stood a solid stainless pole where she would showcase how flexible she was. Ava specialized in pole dancing, a skill she had painstakingly learned to enhance her performance. She danced for an hour every night, so she had to keep it fresh and exciting to avoid boring the crowd. The moment she climbed on stage, all eyes turned to her. She recognized a few faces, regulars at the club, and others appeared to be newcomers. Soft music started playing, and Ava began to circle around the pole, never breaking eye contact with her audience. She saw the admiration and lust in their eyes. When she spread her legs and hooked one against the pole, she was sure they were all staring at the most intimate parts of her body. Ava felt confident showing off every inch because she had invested good money to keep her skin flawless. While letting her gaze travel across the crowd, she noticed 3 men in business suits. They were sitting together, and from the look of them, they were new here. Ava didn't recall seeing them before. When she hooked both legs around the pole and arched backward, her attention locked on the man in the center. He stared at her with an intensity that sent a jolt through her. He sipped his whiskey occasionally, and his strong sex appeal caught her off guard. Biting her lower lip, she lifted herself up and let her movements flow, every motion followed by his eyes. Teasingly, she pointed a finger at him, prompting loud cheers from the crowd. Slowly, she climbed down the front steps of the stage in her high heels. "Hey, where are you going?" Faye called from the side, but Ava didn't turn around. Instead, she approached the table where the 3 men in suits were seated. She planted one hand on the table, causing the men to shift their gaze to her ample chest. "Damn, so hot," one of them blurted out. Ava ignored him, keeping her eyes on the man in the middle because he was the one she intended to tease tonight. She walked around the table, placed a hand on his shoulder, and moved her face close to his. "Hi, handsome," she purred, stopping just an inch from his lips. He spoke in a husky voice. "What do you want?" His tone was pure music to her ears. "Nothing," she answered, "just enjoy the show." Cheers erupted when she planted a kiss on his cheek, dangerously close to his lips. Ava wasn't sure why she did that. Perhaps it was because his intense stare was making her heart pound. Quickly, she returned to the stage to finish her hour-long dance, but before disappearing backstage, she glanced at him one last time. She made her way to the dressing room where Faye was waiting. "Wow, you're something else," Faye exclaimed. "I thought you didn't allow anyone to touch you, and yet you just up and kissed that hottie." Ava removed her makeup, ready to head home. "Well, I just kissed him." "Nothing wrong with that, is there?" she answered with a mischievous smile. While kissing him, Ava had felt her heart thumping wildly, but she'd gone ahead anyway. "So, you actually like him?" Faye prodded. "Yes, I do," Ava admitted. "The problem is, he probably thinks I'm just a plaything, someone he can buy to satisfy his needs." She vigorously wiped off her makeup with cotton pads. She couldn't return home like this, her parents would wonder what she'd been up to all night. They believed she only waited tables at a club, which was partly true. She did wait tables, but only when she didn't have a performance scheduled. "Why should that stop you?" Faye argued. "Just because you're an entertainer doesn't mean you're unworthy of love." Ava sighed. "Men don't want a woman who's been with many others. You know how society is. People still care about a woman's virginity, even though, in reality, virginity is just a social construct, a product of our culture. It's often used to judge a woman's value." Faye's lips curved downward. "You have a point." Ava shrugged. "I'm not against anyone who wants to save themselves for marriage. That's their choice. I just wish men wouldn't use it as some sort of universal standard." Nearly dawn, Ava finally arrived home. She washed up and changed her clothes, intending to sleep, when she spotted a note left by her younger sister on the table. Ava slumped onto her bed and pulled a small piggy bank from the cabinet. Her sister needed money for her college tuition, and Ava had promised to do everything to help her graduate, one of the reasons she worked so hard. She took out some cash and placed it on the table alongside her sister's note, adding her own reminder to study well. Then she lay down on her thin mattress. It would soon be time to pay the bills again, so she would have to work even harder to rebuild her savings. Their family rented a small place, paid for a stall at the market, and helped cover the cost of their parents' maintenance meds. Her parents' modest earnings simply weren't enough. That night at the club, Faye cautioned Ava, "There's a big crowd tonight, so give them your best performance." "Like I don't always," Ava teased, making Faye laugh. "No, seriously, and after your performance, there's a guy who wants to buy you a drink at his table." "Guess who?" Faye asked with a mysterious grin. Ava frowned. "Who's that? That jerk Roy?" Faye shook her head. "Nope, not him. That guy you kissed yesterday, Mr. Hunter Montgomery." Faye squealed excitedly. Ava's eyes widened. She hadn't expected to see him again so soon, let alone that he'd specifically asked to talk to her. Faye teased, "So, you're excited?" Ava flipped her hair off her shoulder and grinned. "Maybe, but I'm not going to make it obvious. I need to find out what he really wants." She got ready for her show, choosing a gold two-piece bikini for her costume. It was a Friday night, clubs tended to be packed with weekend revelers, and Ava wanted to make a lasting impression. Once she stepped onto the stage, she searched the crowd until she spotted him in the middle of the room, casually drinking as he stared straight at her. She flashed him a slight smile before beginning her one-hour performance. Afterward, Ava headed backstage, changing into a simple pair of jeans and a fitted black top. She also tied her hair up. Faye looked her over and asked, "Are you seriously going to wear that? What's wrong with it?" Ava shot back. "I thought you liked that guy, so why not wear something sexier to make him want you more?" Faye suggested. Ava shook her head. "Not everything's about looking obvious. Besides, I want to know his true intentions. If he's serious, it won't matter what I wear." All right, go before he gets too drunk," Faye teased, ushering Ava toward the private room where Hunter waited. When Ava opened the door, their eyes locked immediately. Hunter motioned for her to sit, directing her to the seat across from him. Usually, a client would seat her beside him, so this was different. Ava extended her hand before sitting down. "Hi, I'm Ava," she greeted with a polite smile. Hunter stood up, shook her hand, and said, "Hunter." Ava laughed nervously. My hand." "Oh, sorry," he cleared his throat and let go of her fingers. "By the way, you were fantastic out there," he added. She smiled. "Thanks," she replied softly, feeling a sudden wave of shyness. Silence hung between them for a moment, both were focused only on each other. Ava took a glass of mixed drink and sipped it quickly. "I've heard you don't let customers take you out of the club," Hunter remarked, causing Ava to choke on her drink. "Are you okay?" he asked, handing her a napkin. She carefully dabbed her mouth. "I'm just the midnight dancer here, Mr. Montgomery." "I'm not for sale outside," she stated. "Really? Good," Hunter said in a low voice. "But can I ask you a favor?" He leaned closer. Ava's heart thumped. She couldn't deny his deep, bedroom-like voice was making her uneasy in a thrilling way. "Quit your job here," he said. "I'll triple your salary. Just dance for me." Ava's mouth fell open. "Huh? You mean you want me to dance just for you?" He nodded. "Don't worry, I have a medical condition. I won't touch you. I just want you to entertain me," he explained. Though Ava remained skeptical, if all he wanted was entertainment, he could have come to the club every night. Why did she have to quit? "Don't get me wrong, Ava," Hunter continued. "I'm a busy person, and this place is too crowded for me. The smoke, the mix of different smells, it's suffocating." They talked until he offered to drive her home, and she accepted. Both were quiet on the ride. Ava was still debating his offer. She would have to take a break from working for Faye, but the money was tempting. She had bills to pay and parents who needed their meds. "Pull over here," she finally said. Hunter parked by the curb. She turned to him. "I'll think about it. If I decide to accept, I'll call you." He nodded. "All right." "Wait," he handed her a red envelope. "What's this?" she asked, seeing the bills inside. "It's for coming with me tonight." "I'll wait for your call," he answered, smiling at her. Inside the envelope was a substantial amount of money, equivalent to 5 nights of dancing pay. It could cover her next set of bills and her parents' medicine. Once she got home, Ava lay in bed, thinking only about him. She wasn't a believer in love at first sight, yet she was sure she had a crush on Hunter Montgomery. The next day, she helped her parents at the local market, selling fish, then worked only a half day so she wouldn't be too exhausted to dance that night. By late afternoon, she went to see Faye and told her she'd made up her mind to accept Hunter's offer. "So, you're leaving, huh?" Faye asked, but her tone was gentle. Ava nodded. "Yes, but only temporarily. I'll come back if he ever gets tired of me." Faye gave her a reassuring pat on the shoulder. "Why would I be mad? It's your life, your decision. I respect that." Then she smirked. "Anyway, who knows, maybe." "Stop," Ava interrupted with a grin. "No more teasing." That night, Hunter called and said he was waiting outside the club. Ava had already dressed and done her makeup, wearing a long jacket over her skimpy outfit. She emerged and found him leaning against a sleek black car. He swept his gaze over her. "You could have changed in the place we're going," he remarked. She shrugged. "I don't know where you're taking me, so I got ready." He opened the passenger door, and she slipped inside. They drove for several minutes before arriving at a tall, upscale hotel. "Are you serious?" she asked as they stepped through the lobby. "I'm going to dance here?" He nodded. "Yes." They took an elevator up. Hunter pressed the button for a special floor. It went all the way to the top, so they had a few moments of silence, watching their reflections in the polished elevator doors. He broke the silence. "What made you change your mind?" Ava kept her gaze on the doors. "You said nothing would happen because of your medical condition, and I can use the extra money for rent." "Right," he answered quietly. They got off at the final stop, a private penthouse suite with a view of the entire city. It was spacious and meticulously clean. Hunter led her to a large entertainment room that contained, to her surprise, a stainless steel dance pole, exactly like in the club. "You can wait here," he told her. "I'll grab some drinks." He returned a moment later with 2 glasses, setting them aside. He went to a control panel, and soft music filled the room. "You can start now," he said. Ava tried to dance as she usually did, but nerves crept in. She was performing for just one man, and he was watching her intently. "Stop," Hunter commanded. She froze. "Are you nervous?" She said nothing, but he continued. "That's not the same dance I saw at the club. You're missing the emotion. You're just performing like I'm not even here. I want you to look at me like you did that first night." He drained his glass in a single gulp and loosened his tie before sitting back down. "Show me again how you seduced me that night," he said in a low tone, his eyes fixed on her. Ava felt her heart pounding. "Are you sure?" He tilted his head. "Yes, and if you manage to heat things up for me again, even better. I want to know my reaction that night wasn't a fluke." He returned to his seat. "Dance," he repeated. Ava took a deep breath and tried again. She pictured him the way she had seen him that very first time, mysterious, powerful, and undeniably attractive. Swaying around the pole, she slid down gracefully, arching her back. Hunter watched, eyes never leaving her body as he refilled his glass. She split her legs around the pole, giving him a sultry gaze before slowly stepping closer to him. She bent down, and he stared at her chest. "What do you want?" he asked, mirroring that fateful first question. She whispered, "You." She hadn't meant to speak that out loud. Flustered, she started to move away, but Hunter grabbed her wrist, pulling her so forcefully that she tumbled onto him. He touched a lever on the side of his seat, and it reclined. "I want you to," he began in a raspy voice, then pulled her close and crushed her lips in a deep kiss. Ava felt overwhelmed. She was drowning in his kiss. She had never kissed a man before, and now she wasn't sure what to do with her mouth or her hands. Moments later, she realized she was practically on his lap. Without breaking the kiss, Hunter carried her out of the room, kicking open the door to the adjacent bedroom. He peeled off her scanty costume, and soon they were locked in feverish passion. Ava wanted to resist, but she couldn't. Over an hour later, Hunter finally claimed her fully. The pain tore through her, but so did an unexpected wave of pleasure. She knew he was much larger than she'd ever imagined a man could be, yet somehow she had survived the encounter. Soreness throbbed through her, but not regret. Her very first time, and it had happened with him. He fell asleep beside her, but as she tried to slip out of bed, he pulled her back down. "Don't leave me," he said, his voice soft. She turned and saw his handsome face, eyes half open and filled with warmth. "Sorry, I couldn't stop myself," he murmured. Ava shook her head. "It's okay. You didn't force me." He pulled her into a firm embrace. "From the moment I saw you, you never left my mind. I have erectile dysfunction. I've never been able to do this with any other woman, but because of you, it suddenly worked. And I'm glad I'm also your first." Stunned, Ava whispered, "You mean this is your first time too, and I'm the only one who could?" Embarrassed, he pulled the blanket over his face. She tugged it back down, catching the flush on his cheeks. "So, my dancing, or something about me, cured you?" she asked. Hunter shrugged. "Maybe it's more than just the dancing. Maybe it's you specifically." The next morning, he drove her home. He hadn't wanted her to leave his penthouse that night, but he was too tired to drive, and she was too sore to walk. She had called Faye, making up an excuse about working overtime. Faye's giggling on the phone indicated she'd guessed what really happened. Ava knew some people would say it was wrong to go home with a man she barely knew, but she'd followed her heart. She had no idea where it would lead her, yet she felt no regret. "How's Hunter's, equipment?" Faye teased when Ava visited the club. "It's pretty impressive," Ava admitted with a grin, making Faye laugh. Their banter was never shy. Faye loved playful gossip, and now Ava had some experience of her own to share. "Really? And you managed that?" Faye teased. "I almost thought I couldn't," Ava replied, and they both burst out laughing. When they finally settled down, Ava's phone rang. It was Hunter. He wanted to pick her up again that night. She danced for him in private, and yet again, they ended up making love. Only this time, he was more skilled, and she found herself screaming his name in ecstasy. Their sessions were intense, leaving Ava breathless and sated. She wasn't sure how long she could keep this up, but it thrilled her like nothing else. Exhausted, they collapsed side by side, falling asleep in each other's arms. Once, Ava woke to a delicious smell and found Hunter setting breakfast on a small glass table. He emerged from the bathroom, wearing only a towel, and she couldn't help but stare at the enticing outline beneath it. "Hey," he teased, "don't tell me I'm the breakfast you really want." Ava quickly pulled the blanket up, but he yanked it away, reminding her, "You don't have to hide. I own that beautiful body now, remember?" "What do you mean?" she asked, her cheeks burning. He rested a hand on her chin, drawing close. "You're mine, baby." Whenever she was around him, she felt weak. "Hunter, what exactly are we?" Hunter settled on the bed's edge, took her hands in his, and laced their fingers together. "I like you, Ava. I really do, and I want you to be my girlfriend." She hadn't even processed his words when he leaned in for a fierce kiss. Soon, she was overwhelmed by his touch all over again. Despite how sore she was, she couldn't deny how good it felt to be with him. Later, Ava shared the news with Faye. "He wants to marry me." Faye nearly spit out her drink. "What? Already? You two have only known each other for what, a month?" Ava nodded, smiling. Yep, about a month now, but he says that's more than enough. He wants the wedding soon. Faye shook her head in disbelief but also grinned. Well, guess we can't argue with love. At least you're glowing with happiness. Ava spent an afternoon with Faye, gleaning tidbits about married life. Although she was an adult and well aware of responsibilities, a little extra advice never hurt. Sometime later, Ava's phone went off. Hunter was outside, ready to pick her up. He was taking her to meet his parents. After that, he would meet hers. She was nervous. What if they don't like me? They'll love you, Hunter assured her as they drove. He had asked her to wear a simple yet elegant dress he'd bought for her, and she obliged. When they arrived at a large house in an upscale neighborhood, Ava swallowed hard. Wow, you really live here? Yes, babe, come on. My parents must be waiting, he said, offering his hand. She hesitated at the door. Hunter, I'm scared. I'm here, he reminded her, pressing a reassuring kiss to her forehead. Then he opened the door. Mom, Dad, Hunter greeted them. The older couple looked youthful despite their age. This is Ava, my fiancée, Hunter announced. She shyly reached out. Good evening, she said, and they welcomed her warmly. Please, let's eat before the food gets cold, his mother said cheerfully. They sat at a grand dining table, Hunter and Ava on one side, his parents at each end. She couldn't help noticing how they stole curious glances at her. So, dear, how did you and Hunter meet? His mother asked after a while. Ava began to panic, but Hunter spoke up first. We met at a club, Mom. There's a long story to it, but I won't bore you with details. Suddenly, a woman's voice sliced through. Really, Hunter? Ava and Hunter both turned to see a gorgeous woman striding into the house. She was tall, poised, and dressed to the nines, someone who looked very wealthy. Paula, what are you doing here? Hunter stood so abruptly that his chair nearly toppled. He tried to take her arm, but she pulled away. Paula slapped him across the face. You broke up with me because you said I couldn't satisfy you in bed, but here you are with a new woman, someone you picked up off the streets. Shut up, Hunter growled. Leave, Paula. We've been over for a while. She glared. Oh, so you don't want your parents to know you replaced me with a stripper who dances like a hooker on stage? I said shut up. Hunter grabbed her, but Paula refused to budge. She yanked some photos from her bag and tossed them across the table. They showed Ava dancing provocatively on stage. Ava felt her eyes burn with tears as Hunter's mother picked one up. Mom, let me explain, Hunter pleaded. The older woman turned to Ava, holding the photo. Is this true? Were you really dancing in a club like this? Ava's voice came out small. Yes, but I'm not a prostitute. Don't lie. Paula shouted. You're shameless. Ava couldn't stand it anymore. She fled the house, tears streaming down her cheeks. Everything was ruined. His parents had seen the photos, and clearly, Paula had a history with Hunter. She hadn't known he'd left someone else to be with her. Ava! Ava, she heard Hunter calling, but she managed to hail a taxi. The instant she got inside, she sobbed uncontrollably. She ended up going straight to Faye's club instead of home. She couldn't bear the thought of facing her parents in this state. Faye found her in a VIP room, already downing glass after glass of hard liquor. Oh, Ava, what happened? Faye asked, eyes full of concern. Ava just cried harder until her head dropped to the table in a drunken stupor. Faye let her vent, but then someone else arrived. She heard them talking in hushed voices. Sorry, she wouldn't tell me exactly what happened, Faye said, but I'm worried about her, and I didn't know who else to call. Thank you for calling me, said a familiar voice. Hunter. Ava lifted her face. Go away. Go back to Paula, she slurred, trying to push him. Hunter hoisted her up with startling ease. Put me down, she protested, struggling. He merely held on tighter, carrying her outside to his car. Dizzy from alcohol, Ava felt the world spin around her. She realized Faye must have planned this so she'd end up going with him. "Don't do this," Ava mumbled, her voice shaky. He didn't answer, only saying, "We're talking whether you like it or not." She slumped against the seat as the car sped through the city. Soon, they were back at his penthouse. Hunter lifted her out of the car and into the elevator, then laid her gently on the gray couch inside his living room. "Ava," he began, sitting beside her. "I don't care if you think we're not right for each other. I don't care if my parents disapprove. I'll explain everything to them. You're the only thing that matters to me." "I'm not good enough," she sobbed. He silenced her with a kiss. Before she knew it, her clothes were off again, and they were entangled on the sofa. Despite her anger and heartbreak, her body responded to his touch. When they were finished, he scooped her into his arms and carried her to the bathroom, placing her in a warm bath. After washing her gently, he took her to bed, where she quickly succumbed to exhaustion. Ava woke early the next morning. It was still dark outside, and only about 6 o'clock. Quietly, she gathered her clothes, which she found neatly folded on a cabinet. She slipped on her outfit from the night before, determined to leave before Hunter woke. She tiptoed out and managed to flag a taxi, shoulders slumped, heading home. She had no idea what would come next, only that she couldn't stay. Ava entered her bedroom, changed into casual clothes, and spent the rest of the day cleaning the house. Her parents were at the market, selling fish, while her siblings were at school. She wanted to occupy herself and stop thinking about Hunter for a while, so she turned off her phone, worried he wouldn't leave her alone otherwise. By early evening, her parents returned, and she had already cooked dinner, so the family gathered around the table to eat. "Sweetheart," her mom said, noticing how rarely they all sat down to dinner together these days, "you've been working overtime a lot. Don't wear yourself out." "Your mom's right," her dad added. "You need to rest too." "I'm fine, really," Ava assured them with a smile. In truth, she wasn't working at the club anymore. Hunter had been giving her money because he didn't want her dancing in Faye's nightclub. On the night she wasn't home, she was at his penthouse, cooking for him, cleaning, and still dancing for him. The dance performances usually ended in heated encounters, and Ava felt his financial support was more than fair. Suddenly, a soft knock on the door interrupted them. Her younger brother, Jake, went to answer it. "Good evening," came a familiar voice. Ava almost choked when she saw Hunter standing there with a bouquet of roses, looking ridiculously handsome. She nearly fell off her chair as she stood. "What are you doing here?" she whispered, frowning. "You left me at the penthouse," Hunter replied with a grin, "so I came looking for you." "Is this your boyfriend, sis?" Jake asked. "No, I'm her fiancé," Hunter corrected him, causing Ava's eyes to widen. She was about to usher Hunter out when her parents stood up. Her dad asked, "Wait, you said fiancé? You're Ava's fiancé?" "Yes, sir," Hunter responded politely. "I'm Montgomery." "I'm sorry it took me so long to come by, but I've been busy with my business." "I'm here to formally ask for your daughter's hand." Ava's parents glanced at her with puzzled expressions, though clearly aware that Hunter was well off just by looking at him. Finally, her dad said, "Ava, it's your call. Do you love this man?" Ava looked from her dad to Hunter. Despite everything that had happened the night before, there was no question about her feelings. "Yes," she answered quietly. She saw Hunter breathe a sigh of relief. "In that case, we won't stand in your way," her dad continued. "You're an adult. Just remember that marriage isn't just about loving each other. You have to be ready for any hardships that come your way. I don't know you very well yet, Hunter, but I do know my daughter has sacrificed a lot for this family. She's worked hard to help us, even if she doesn't say it." Ava started, then corrected herself, "Dad, I don't mind helping. I'm happy doing it. I understand our situation." She didn't want them thinking she'd abandoned her promise to support them once she got married. "Don't worry," Hunter said, smiling. "I understand, sir. I promise I'll do right by Ava." They talked for a while longer, and Hunter was able to share more about himself. He also admitted they had first met at Faye's club. By 10 o'clock that evening, Hunter was still there. "You're not going home?" Ava muttered impatiently. "I don't want to," he replied. "It's lonely without you. Can I stay over?" "What?" Ava yelped, drawing a glance from her parents, who were busy going over their day's sales. "Please, sir, Mom," Hunter addressed her parents, "could I sleep here on the couch?" "It's late." Her dad nodded. "Sure, son, it's almost midnight anyway. Stay." In the end, Hunter ended up in Ava's tiny bedroom. He reasoned they were already engaged, so her parents allowed them to share a bed for the night. Ava eyed him wearily. "What are you grinning at?" she asked, seeing his face lit up with amusement as he stared at the ceiling. He turned his head. "Nothing. I just love how your room smells like you. Your pillows, your sheets." She jabbed him lightly in the ribs. "You're acting weird. Move over. This bed isn't big enough for two." The mattress was narrow and creaked with any movement, so they both lay stiffly on their backs. Finally, Hunter rolled onto his side to face her. He whispered into her ear, "How sturdy is this bed frame?" Ava felt goosebumps. She shot him a glare. "Don't you dare, Hunter. Don't try anything, or you'll break it. It's just a patchwork of wooden slats." He slipped an arm around her waist and burrowed against her neck. "I just want to hold you all night, even if your little fan is barely cooling the room," he teased. She realized he'd rather sweat it out in her cramped, mosquito-prone space than return to his comfortable penthouse. Before long, she heard his breathing slow. He was out cold. Ava soon drifted off herself. When she woke the next morning, he was already gone. Alarmed, she jumped up and hurried out to the living room. She found him sipping coffee and chatting with her parents. "Oh, Ava," her mom said, "have breakfast and come with me to the market. Your dad's knee is acting up, probably rheumatism again." Hunter offered to help too, so hurry and get ready. "Why do you want to go to the market?" "You'll just get in the way," Ava snapped, eyeing Hunter. He shrugged, grinning. "Your mom already said it's fine." Ava turned to see her mom, who he was now calling Mom as though he'd known her forever. Ava couldn't imagine what sweet talk he'd used to charm them. A short while later, she found herself at the market stall, selling fish with Hunter and her mom. To her surprise, he was calling out to passers-by, "Hey there, beautiful, how about some fresh fish? Gills are bright, scales are shiny, best catch you'll find." He even waved a small stick to shoo away flies. Because of his enthusiastic sales talk and his good looks, customers flocked to their stall the moment they opened. "See," Ava's mom said, smiling, "he's going to have us sold out in no time." Not only was he good at attracting business, he also handled the money and change with ease while Ava and her mom focused on cleaning the fish. They ended up finishing earlier than usual, selling out before lunch and taking a few fish home for their own meal. As they walked back, he teased Ava, "Even when you smell like fish, you're still the prettiest girl I know." She rolled her eyes. "Like I'd forget your performance earlier, flirting with every single customer who walked by." "Oh, come on, you're not jealous, are you?" "That was just a strategy. We sold out, which means we get to rest." Hunter paused. "Your mom and dad work so hard at that market, huh?" Ava sighed. "That's how it is for us. We don't have much. That's why I turned to dancing. I couldn't finish school. All I really had was my looks and my body. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve you. What if you realize you made a mistake? What if you start thinking you made the wrong choice?" Hunter took her hand and gripped it gently. "Ava, I haven't asked you for anything besides your love. That's all I need, and together we can handle whatever life throws at us. Trust me." She felt lighter at his words. They were still chatting when they arrived at her house and found a white car parked outside the modest gate. Hunter's eyes narrowed. "Mom and Dad," he murmured. Sure enough, his parents were sitting on wooden chairs inside, talking to Ava's mom and dad. Ava noticed, to her horror, that they held the same photos Paula had shown them before Ava's stage dances at the club. Ava, is this true? Her mom asked, tears glistening in her eyes. Mom, Dad, what are you doing here? Hunter asked his parents. Ava quickly stepped forward, ignoring the question. Mom, Dad, I swear I only danced. That's all. You can ask Faye. I never went home with customers or anything like that. She froze when her dad moved as if to strike her, but Hunter instantly stepped behind her, wrapping an arm protectively around her. Hunter's mom said firmly, stay out of this. Let's just go. No, Hunter retorted, voice rising. Nobody's leaving until you understand the truth. Ava started sobbing. It hurt to see her parents confronted with these humiliating photos, but she also felt guilty about not telling them sooner. Mom, Dad, Hunter insisted, Ava is not a prostitute. She's never sold herself. She only danced to make enough money because being a waitress wasn't enough. From the moment I met her, I asked her to stop, and she did. I'm the first man in her life. I love her, and I want to marry her. Ava wept, speaking through her tears. I'm so sorry, Mom, Dad. I just wanted to help. I knew we couldn't manage with our expenses if I only relied on what I made waiting tables, but I never sold my body to anyone. After a long pause, her dad finally said, it's best if you two leave for now. We need to talk to our daughter alone. And Hunter, if your family can't accept her, then this marriage can't happen. He went into his room, and Ava's mom followed. Ava looked at Hunter, and he hesitated but eventually left with his parents. Ava locked herself in her room for most of the day. She noticed Hunter had left one of his shirts behind, which he had borrowed from her dad. That evening, her mom knocked softly. Ava, aren't you going to eat? With a heavy heart, Ava stepped out to join her parents at the dining table. Her eyes were puffy and red, and she sank onto a small bench. Mom, Dad, I'm so sorry, she began, her voice trembling. I know what I did was wrong. I never wanted to hurt you. Her dad drew in a shaky breath. Sweetheart, we may be poor, but we never taught you to do anything immoral just to make money. It's my fault. I couldn't provide for you the way a father should. He choked back tears. I hate myself for that. Ava stood and hugged him tight. Don't say that, Dad, and I promise I won't go back to dancing. I'll look for another way to help out, another business or job that can support us. She knew her parents were simply trying to protect her. Life had always been hard, rising costs, bills, daily struggles. They never wanted her to sacrifice herself just to keep everyone else afloat. After talking and eating together, Ava returned to her room. She turned on her phone and saw multiple messages from Hunter asking if she was all right. She sent him a quick response, I'm okay. Let's meet tomorrow, then went to sleep early. The next morning, she woke up with a sharp pain in her stomach and raced to the bathroom, only to throw up sour-tasting bile. She pressed a hand to her still flat belly, feeling dread and excitement at the same time. I'm pregnant, she whispered. As she exited the bathroom, her mom was there, looking concerned. We suspected this might happen, her mom said gently. Talk to Hunter. Don't worry, we'll support you both. Just sort out everything that needs to be settled, including things with his parents. Ava hugged her mom, relieved they were no longer angry. She decided to surprise Hunter that evening by going to his penthouse. First, she cooked him dinner and set up a small surprise in his private entertainment room. After hearing the elevator doors open, she switched on the colorful lights and pulled him toward the seat at the center of the room. What's going on? Hunter asked with a grin, clearly intrigued. She took a deep breath. I'm dancing for you tonight, maybe for the last time, she added quietly. She had gone to the doctor that day, confirming her pregnancy. Thankfully, the baby was fine despite the occasional drinks she'd had before finding out. She'd promised herself she would be careful from now on. Wearing a thin, sexy outfit, Ava placed a hand on the stainless steel pole. She couldn't pull off her usual acrobatics, no more climbing or extreme moves, but she gave it her all to make him happy. His eyes shone with raw desire as he watched her. Eventually, he couldn't stand it any longer. He stood, rushed to her, and cupped her face. You never fail to seduce me, he said in a husky voice, sliding a hand along her cheek. Ava answered with a kiss, bridging the gap between them. He gently laid her on the bed, removing each piece of clothing with surprising tenderness. I've missed you, he whispered, letting his hands roam over her skin. She bit her lip, unable to contain the pleasure he stirred in her. They were perfectly matched, physically and emotionally. When they finally collapsed, breathing hard, nearly 30 minutes had passed. As she started to move off him, he held her in place. Don't leave yet, he murmured. We're not done. She gave him a playful smirk. You're insatiable, Mr. Montgomery. He smirked right back. Guilty, but just for you. Let go of me already, Ava said. You might hurt the baby. Hunter froze, eyes widening. What did you say? Sitting up, she looked into his face. You're going to be a dad, Hunter. He kissed her passionately, overjoyed. Thank you, Ava. You have no idea how happy I am right now, he said, smiling from ear to ear. She felt relief and excitement swelling in her chest. I'm happy too, but I need to fix things with your parents. I also patched things up with mine, but I still want to make sure they accept me. My mom invited you again, Hunter replied, brushing a lock of hair from Ava's face. She wants to say sorry. My dad does too. They really want to make amends. They know about the baby, and they want us to speed up the wedding. Ava's eyes glistened. She pulled him into a tight hug. For so long, she had prayed for acceptance, and at last, it felt like her prayers were answered. Any doubts she still had began to melt away. Of course, Hunter insisted on a second round, but this time he took extra care of her. Later, they moved to the dining table, playfully feeding each other as they laughed and teased. She felt secure and loved, certain he wouldn't leave her just because life got complicated. A few days later, they visited Hunter's parents again. Ava sat down with his mom for a heart-to-heart. Please forgive us for judging you so quickly, said Mrs. Montgomery. It's not that we look down on people without money or education. We were simply worried about our son's future. We wanted him to be with someone who could match him, but we see now how much you two love each other. He spoke very strongly on your behalf, and we respect his decision. Ava's voice trembled. Thank you. I know I'm not perfect, but I promise I'll be a good wife to Hunter and a good mom to our baby. Tears welled in her eyes, and Mrs. Montgomery hugged her gently. Don't worry, we'll guide you both, especially now that I'm going to be a grandmother, she said with a warm smile. Ava wasn't sure what else Hunter had told them, but she felt a profound relief knowing they finally accepted her. It was late by the time they finished talking, so she and Hunter stayed in his childhood bedroom. When he opened the door, Ava stepped into a clean, spacious room and immediately noticed a framed black and white photo on the wall. She moved closer, eyes going wide as she realized it was a snapshot of her from years ago, wearing an unevenly hemmed white dress. She turned to stare at Hunter. You took this photo? He nodded. I forgot to mention that I have a hobby, photography. That picture was hanging here before I ever met you again. Ava felt her eyes fill with tears. So, you were there in the auditorium that night I performed an interpretive dance? I remember that performance, some private school competition. I didn't win, but I did my best. Yeah, Hunter replied, pulling out a remote. He pressed a button, and the same song Ava had danced to all those years ago began to play. I listened to that song often. I even tried to find you afterward, but someone told me that you dropped out of school. I had no idea I'd ever see you again until we crossed paths at the club. Ava started sobbing. The song, Take Me Out of the Dark, had always resonated with her, especially during the darkest moments of her life. She couldn't believe how fate had intertwined them. When the song ended, she and Hunter were still in each other's arms. I love you, Ava, he whispered. I love you too, Hunter, she replied. He dried her tears and pressed his lips to hers, a tender, lingering kiss. Ava's heart brimmed with joy, and she sensed Hunter felt the same. Fate had brought them together in the most unexpected way, but it led them right where they were meant to be. Congratulations, exclaimed Faye on Ava's wedding day. Ava stood with Hunter at their reception, beaming in a gorgeous gown. Faye had brought her boyfriend, John, along. Thanks, Ava laughed.